Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Noel Zone. And there, I thought my camera was on, so just bear with me for just 1 second, and we should be on now. There we go. Yay! Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Noel Zone. Sorry, I wasn't on yesterday. We had a birthday, so we were out celebrating and stuff and drinking, and we met a rat along the way and stuff. Yeah, I had a few beers on me at that stage, but we met a rat in Dublin City, just walking around minding its own business, and I thought it was a great opportunity to take a little video. I'll throw it up on YouTube 5 years later, but I do have a conversation with a rat with a few drinks on me. It's hilarious. So I'll throw it up later on for you guys. But I just wanted to come on because, yeah, we didn't stream yesterday. And I thought, let's poke fun at some of the stuff that I've seen on social media. So we're going to start with this article, and it was written by, I think, The Pen. And the headline reads this: straight men must date trans women to combat hate, says an activist, right? And this is what I said in response. I absolutely agree. Men who support the radical left, like Mr. Tardis and others, should leave their partners and date a trans woman to combat hate. They say they support trans women, so prove it. All I will say is this, though: I wouldn't date a trans woman because I'm not a gay man. Because no matter, trans women were biologically born male, and I am not dating no trans person to combat hate. But I think the ones that scream about it all the time and call people transphobic, even if you're married and have partners, I think you should, for the world, to combat the hate, is to leave your partners and date a trans person as you believe that they're women. So prove your point or shut up now, because this is getting ridiculous. It's not going to happen. Okay? But I saw that, thought that was funny. Also, on my travels, actually, I saw a couple of posters. I wish I could throw them up. I've thrown them up on Twitter. They're pinned to my account. But I found two posters. One said, it's a huge mistake if we go cashless. And then I saw another one: we are asleep walking into a total digital future without any debate about the many dangers for all of us. So Irish people, I'll just show you if you can see it on camera there. You might be able to see it there. So I saw that on my travels. Here's, hopefully I can show you the other one. Oh no, is it this way? So we found them on our travels yesterday while we were out doing a pub crawl. Yeah, I haven't done one of them in a long time. It was fun. Also, in the news today, this week, Piers Morgan, as you know, is a very controversial figure everywhere, every time he opens his mouth. But disgraced TV presenter Ryan Tubridy obviously met Piers Morgan. And Piers Morgan says, the Sacked Presenter Club, great to see Ireland's biggest TV star Ryan Tubridy in London today, and excited to see what he does next. RT's loss will be definitely someone else's gain. Well, let's give a bit of context here. So Ryan Tubridy hosts a show called The Late Late Show. It's the longest running chat show in the world. During the pandemic, he was telling the usual rhetoric and all this, also while telling the public that he had taken a cut in his wages. It turns out that wasn't true, and there were accounts set up, and lots of RTE stars, including himself, were getting perks on the job, and he lied about his wages. So while telling the public to tighten up their belts, he was actually taking more money and lying, and then he tried to deny that he knew anything about it. But let's be honest, if you all knew that there was extra money, especially thousands going to your bank account, okay, you're going to think there's something up, but he never questioned it. So eventually RTE came to the right decision, because RTE and Irish people as relationship has completely gone out the window, because RTE has lost an awful lot of revenue due to people not renewing their TV license. So they had to act, and they sacked Ryan Tubridy to try and save the organisation. But I'm not surprised that Piers Morgan, who was also and who has also been the centre of controversy for years, would take the side of this creature who basically was slamming unvaccinated people and doing all the other stuff that every TV presenter was doing out there during the pandemic. Absolutely disgraceful. But do you know what? Snake like you, Pierce, not really surprised that you take the side of a scumbag like that. But if you're going to be telling the public, and the public trust you as a voice, and you turn around and tell people to tighten up and to tighten their belts, and you've been pretending to everybody you took a wage cut, and it turns out that that isn't true. It's typical. It's typical behavior from that organization. Anyway, also in the news, it's got to do with Ireland as well. The Wolf Tones. Now, the Wolf Tones are a band that I'm not really a huge fan of. I've got to be honest. They do rebel songs. I like other songs. I've never really liked the Wolf Tones. I think it's because there was a period in my life where I was living in a Republican area, and basically every single song that you heard was either an Irish ballad or a rebel song. And I think I just got to the stage where I was just sick and tired listening to them. But over the years, I've gone back and listened to their music, and I enjoy it a lot more now, and have a lot more appreciation for it now when maybe I did when I was younger. Now, I've always been very proud of me country. We've made mistakes, but as you know, I don't hide or shield from the fact that I'm very proud of me country. I've even got the Irish flag up here. I've got the Irish Republican flag here, and I've got me. Actually, you probably have never seen a Dublin flag, have you? So hold on, let me get the Dublin flag for you. Now it's a bit tattered. Well, when I say a bit tattered, it's been well used, this flag. But these are the Dublin colours, and it's obviously for the Dublin team. So you can't probably see that properly, but that's the Dublin flag. Right. So I've got me flags. I don't have that one up yet, but I've got me Irish Republican flag. I've got me tricolour. Right, as you know, I'm very proud of my country, and I like to talk about Ireland quite a lot. But anyway, there's been some controversy because the Wolf Tones sold out Electric Picnic. Now, I won't get into the whole debacle with the cashless situation there, because what happened basically was everything crashed. They decided to have a cashless festival, and it didn't go well. And folks, just before I get into the topic on the Wolf Tones, you have to be aware, right? Now, this was deemed a conspiracy theory a few years back, and again, these people have been spot on. The plan for us in our societies now is to go cashless. Tesco's over here and the UK have already gone cashless. Sure, we were out shopping and it was cashless where we were, and we just walked out because I'm not doing that cashless business, right? But that's where we're heading, and we've got to stand up against that, because it's another form of control, folks. Because if we go cashless, then they control our money. It's at least if we have cash in our hands or we have cash in the banks, we could take the cash out ourselves. But as soon as it goes all digital, we're screwed. Okay, so it didn't go well for Electric Picnic, but the controversy happened when the Wolf Tones, obviously, their songs are Republican songs, and young people were chanting the usual stuff that we were chanting when we were kids. I can't say it on YouTube because obviously YouTube will deem that, because this is the craziness of the world. So our politicians and the people in the media have been going mad because they say that the young people should educate themselves about the trauma connected to those songs and all of that, but not on the point of an Irish point of view, but from a British point of view. And this is where we've gone now. We're literally saying, oh, feel sorry for the British establishment, who for 800 years, blah, 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 blah. And they want the young kids of Ireland to educate themselves. Yes, they should educate themselves. They should educate themselves and understand their history and understand what occupation in this country was like for 800 years. Absolutely. Right? There's nothing wrong with celebrating our culture, singing our songs. It's all right for every other country to do it. But as soon as our kids and we do it, there seems to be an issue. So, Bertie Ahern, who was the Taoiseach of Ireland, which is like the Prime Minister for anybody out there, just to simplify it, right? The leader of the country, who left in a mountain of scandal, right? Just like most Fianna Fáil politicians. He's also come out and says that, you know, they should educate themselves on the troubles and all of this. And I just want to say to Bertie, you know, we know why you're talking and speaking up, because you want to become president. Well, let's get this straight, right? I remember when you were leader of this country very well. Now, I do remember the country doing very well and everybody had money in their pockets, but obviously it was false because the economy was fragile because of the housing market. Everything that was happening good in the country was the housing market and the building and all of that, right? But you didn't have a plan B when that all slowed down. So eventually the economy crashed. You were responsible for that. And then at the end of it all, it turned out then that you were taking brown envelopes and stuff like that. And there was an investigation done on you. And you're saying it was house loans and all of that shit, right? But again, for the Irish people, it was just another politician taking dirty backhanders, right? And now you're speaking out against the young Irish people because you're running for president and you want to get the brownie points now off the left to make sure that you get the vote, right? Absolutely disgusting you are. Read the room. Nobody wants you as president, all right? You're an absolute disgrace to this country for what you did to this country. And yes, Enda Kenny might have signed off on the bank stuff and shit, but you started it all. You're responsible for the mess that this country ended up being in, all right? So don't even think you could come back and be president. We don't want you, all right? It's as simple as that. You're a bleeding crook. That's all you are. Of course, News Talk, who's an Irish station over here, got involved with it. You could say it's harmless singing these songs, but it makes me nervous, the female presenter said. Where the large crowd at the Wolf Tones concert during Electric Picnic romanticising the IRA. Right, well, I'll just tell you now that British people, Protestant people, romanticize their groups. So why aren't you? See, I wouldn't have an issue with this if you actually were consistent and you said the same thing about the loyalists up north, but you don't. You're not consistent. So as I said to you in the thread, and I retweeted, just shut the fuck up. All right. If you're nervous, yeah, I suggest you move out of Ireland, and this country is not for you, right? And you can live with the rest of the lunatics here that are trying to change everything that makes this country what it is. Also in the news, sorry about the washing machine, but also in the news, it turns out that 10 organic companies have been bought out by BlackRock and Vanguard, and they have connections, of course, to, you know, the billionaire out there that claims to help everybody, but we know he's a con artist, as in Bill Gates. You got to be very careful what products you're buying out there. And to be quite honest with you, all these meat-free alternatives and all of this, you know, I was trying all of these meat-free alternatives and all of this, and as soon as I start reading up about what's actually in them, and this is the problem, people will just take something because it might look nice on the packet, but they never actually read anything. But you should always read. There's more chemicals and more cancer-inducing toxins in it that can damage your body. So you should really read up on those sort of things. Also, by the way, on the Wolf Tones, had the biggest crowd for Electric Picnic in its 14-year history. Right? So that just goes to show you where we are as a country. And do you know what? That to me is absolutely beautiful to see. And I'll tell you why. Irish people have forgotten, especially during the 90s. You know, we did have the river dance and all of that, and Irish people embraced that Irishness again and stuff like that. But somewhere between the 80s and early 90s, we'd lost what it was to be Irish. Right? And then we had the Celtic Tiger, we had River Dance, and then everybody embraced Irishness again, and then we lost it again. I mean, there's this video circulating from the early 2000s asking people in the streets if they die for Ireland. And I noticed one thing, that all the lower class, or the working class people, as they would call us, all said yes. And all the upper and higher class people said no. Even people that were strung out were saying they would die for Ireland, right? And no matter what you say about people on drugs and all of that, these people said, would you die for your country? Absolutely, they said. Absolutely. Right? And this is what I'm seeing now. I've seen a re-emergence of people embracing the Irishness because they see that their country is under attack. And I think it's beautiful to see. Now, I hope this time, though, they don't forget it and they continue to embrace it, because being Irish is unique. We do have a unique history. We've got proud traditions that the left are trying to destroy. Right? They're just songs, for God's sake. Right? People out there are taking all of this shit too seriously. So what? I used to chant that all the time. Right? I used to fucking work in pubs that were Republican and do DJing in them. And I tell you fucking something, man. It was mad. Mad crazy. Mad crazy. Right? Because these people take their shit seriously. You know, and a stranger comes in, it's just like they want to know everything about you. But once they see you're okay and you're fine. Yeah, I seen that. I seen that, mate. It's fucking disgusting. It's disgusting. It is. It is, because we don't have a plan. The Irish government don't have a plan. But at the same time, when you've got your own people homeless and living out in the streets, and this is why the governments around Europe don't get this whole situation. Let me explain simple facts to you morons, right? To make it clear why people are protesting, why people are concerned, and why people have concerns, right? When people around Europe in whatever country they've been in have been fighting to get a roof over their heads, and they've got to jump through loads of loopholes, and they're on waiting lists for years. Some end up in hostels, some end staying in hotels for fucking years, and some end up on the streets, right? And then a conflict happens somewhere around the world, and then all of a sudden, then the Irish government is taking in 10,000 of these people or whatever it is, right? They've taken in more than that, but we'll just say 10,000. You bring in 10,000 people because I'm simplifying it here for everybody, right? You bring 10,000 people in, right? And then all of a sudden you have the money and the funds then to build houses and to convert buildings into refugee waiting houses until they get a house, right? Of course there's going to be fucking an uprising from the people around the world. Of course there's going to be an uprising from the people around the world, and including in Ireland and in communities, right? Because people in those countries have been fucking begging for basic fucking human rights in their countries. The right to a roof over your head, the right to medical fucking treatment, right? And then these people come in and they get everything fucking handed to them, and it is true. And you could say it's right wing all you fucking want, right? It is fucking true. It's a fucking fact, right? Of course people are gonna fucking be in uproar. Of course they are, right? You don't put your own citizens first. You don't put your own citizens' concerns ahead of anybody else's. And you wonder why people are moaning. This country has really gone to the dogs. Dublin City has become a fucking battle zone, right? Outside the GPO, the most historical site for Irish people, especially Dublin people, when it comes to the 1916 Rising, right? It has significance within that, right? That's where the proclamation was read. Outside it, they barricaded themselves inside that building, right? It's the most historical place in Ireland when it comes to the Rising, one of the historical places, right? Okay. What happened the other day? A load of Syrians outside the GPO chanting with their flags, right? And some people say, oh, they're doing no harm. They're making a fucking statement. They do it in every country that they're in. They go to their historical sites and they start chanting outside them, right? And then before you know it, and by the way, this is actually a fact. You go and look at European countries that have taken in an influx of these so-called migrants, right? Have a look. Crime rate through the roof, right? In some countries, terrorist attacks happen, right? That's Ireland's future. That's Dublin's future, right? And we've got fucking idiots in this country defending all of this, right? These people know exactly what they're doing, right? And Irish people should be outraged. They're disrespecting our history when they do that, right? They've no tolerance for our religion, our beliefs, our traditions, our culture, but they want us to tolerate theirs. They come into our country and they expect us to follow their rules. No. You come to Ireland, yeah? Then you've chosen to come here. Then you embrace our traditions. You embrace our values, our morals. Right? It's as simple as that. You don't do the shit that you do in your country, think you can come here then and implement it here. It ain't happening. It ain't happening. And Irish people have finally woke up and copped on to all of this. And this is why this is beautiful. And Wolf Towns, I guarantee it, right? Electric Picnic, if Wolf Towns were smart now, I'd capitalise on that and do a tour of fucking Ireland, and they'll sell out fucking everywhere. Embracing your own culture has become a dirty fucking word. I don't like it. And it's the truth. It's the fucking truth. So, absolutely ridiculous, man. But anyway, again, more news from Ireland. So, yeah, Eamon Ryan from the Green Party. Now, the Green Party over here are an absolute fucking joke. And I mean, they're an absolute joke. Some of the candidates that they put forward can't even write basic English. Now, I know I do have difficulty with my spelling sometimes, but I do believe if you're running for a public office, you should have a basic level of education. That's just me. Maybe I'm old school, but I do believe that you should have you should have a basic grasp of writing English and the English language, in my opinion. But Eamon Ryan has attended the African Climate Summit, right? And again, you know, he's preaching about the climate while getting on a private plane to fly to Africa to preach to us all about the climate, right? Listen, I'm going to say this again, right? I hear people say that the climate change thing is a scam. It's not a scam. The climate is changing. You can clearly see it is, right? There's no denying that. What the scam is they're saying it's man-made. It ain't man-made. The climate has changed for millions of years and will continue to do so, right? And it's also connected to solar output and other factors. And the solar output, if you look at NASA's official site, the solar output has been unusual for the last couple of years. That dictates the weather, right? Other factors as well. But the climate will change. Some people talk about the climate change. Well, here's one for you. The climate changed millions of years ago, right? When there wasn't even humans on the planet. So who was responsible for climate change back then? Right? Bottom line is, the scam is that they're saying it's man-made. They want, again, to tax us because it's more money. But also on top of that as well, what they're considering and what they want us to do will damage our crops in the future. Okay? And this is another form of control. They want to control everything out there, from our medical to our food. You know, you got multi-billionaires, trillionaires buying up all of these processing plants and companies and stuff like that. You know, it's all to control your everything in your life. And this cashless thing, it's all connected, folks. You got to read between the lines here, right? It's all there. If you're clever enough to figure it out, you can connect all of these dots, right? And it's absolutely disgusting. So, you know, again, Green Party and others that preach this scam, they should be ignored, and people should really resist. Speak up, because, you know, there are climate change experts out there that have signed a letter and have come out and said that this is all bullshit, that the man-made part of it is bull crap. So, you know, we got to wise up as a society. You know, it's all money at the end of the day. So yeah. Anyway, what's next? What's next? What's next? Yeah, I want to talk about Elon Musk for a minute, because you know, he comes out with a lot of stuff, as you know. He says he's anti you know, kids being transitioned and all of that stuff. But then he continues to allow publications like Pink News to basically libel people and to lie in their publications. Now, we've also seen that Elon has also employed, as his new CEO, a WEF puppet. So you've got to really ask a question. And by the way, they updated their terms and conditions. And while he has been transparent and said they will use our data, right? He's no different to the rest of them because our data is being used. Okay, so the question you have to ask yourselves is, does Elon Musk really have the best intentions for us? Because a lot of people out there will say, no, he doesn't, because a lot of people seem to be getting, the censorship on it seems to be getting worse. Seems to be getting worse. It's not getting any better. So what is his goal? What does he really stand for? Because he's sending out a lot of mixed signals out there. You know, he needs to really, you know, he's too busy showing off to the accounts out there that blow smoke up his ass, rather than actually take care of the real issues on X, which are all of these left-wing lunatics. Now, I'm not saying ban them all, right? But if you have accounts that are literally libeling people and sending harassment or asking people out there to report accounts because they don't agree with their opinion, well, then I don't think you're doing your job. You're supposed to stop all of this, you know? And that goes for the other side as well. And people in the middle, if you cross the line in any way, it should be dealt with. Anyway, let's read some of your comments before we go any further. But let me know what you think. Let's see who is actually in the chat. We got Bobby D75, who was the first one in. Welcome, Bobby. We got Matthew Pounder. We got Scottish Stavros. Wrestles with Pop Culture also in the chat. And we've got Matthew Pounder. JWC Reviews also in the chat. We've got Alice Casey in the chat as well. Welcome, Alice. Hey, you know, Alice here. I've always loved the Wolf Towns, played them all my life, to say the truth, as is they're making a shitload of money at the moment, especially due to our current situation. And they should. And they should. I'm telling you now, Alice, they should capitalize on this and do an Irish tour. JWC Reviews says the whole idea of nationalism is considered far right these days. Yeah, but it's in every country though. If it's same with British people as well, if they embrace, especially the English, if they embrace their Englishness, and the Scottish as well, if they embrace their Scottishness, you know, they're far right. That's what I said. You know, being proud of your country and consider yourself either Republican or nationalist is right wing nowadays. Like, it's absolutely bonkers what's happened. One Irish society, a melting pot. The difference is though, Bobby, is that Irish people haven't hung around. They're actually out there in their communities. They're actually speaking up, you know, and that's what makes me proud, is that they didn't hang around. You know, as soon as it became a threat, it was people stood up. This is why I don't like the false reporting by some American journalists that are saying Ireland has fallen. Ireland is far from fallen, because the one thing is our people are resilient, right? And I've even heard some people out there, right, journalists, say that, oh, the Irish are a bunch of whingers because they always complain about what happened to them 800 years ago. Yeah, of course we do. That's what defined us. And we're not a bunch of crybabies. We're just trying to tell the world, because, you know, there's other groups out there that think they're the most oppressed group in the world and all of this. At one time or another in world history, there were groups out there that were oppressed, right? And not everybody gets away with it scot-free. Slavery and all of this other nonsense wasn't exclusive to one skin color. Remember that. Alice says again, the Wolf Towns are cleaning up. With concerts, our children are in danger, our sovereignty. Why are they not at our protests free? We need them 19th and 20th September at the Dáil if they care. But this is the thing, you know, things like this need to be planned and organized months in advance. You can't just, I mean, people will show up most definitely, and there'll be a big crowd most definitely. But to get the whole, you do. I agree with you. This one now has to be a show of force now. There can't be any messing around with this one, because the media have said that there's not many people at these protests, which they're lying about. There's plenty, right? But they don't report on it. But if you get way larger numbers than you've gotten at every other one, then they won't be able to deny it. It'll be hard to hide the fact that literally thousands of people, hopefully hundreds of thousands of people, have showed up. Matt, the silent wee music king, is in the chat. I do love that bloody name, I have to say. Daniel says Musk plays both sides. I agree. I agree. Where are all the Irish musicians from Dublin at the protests? What are they afraid of? Imelda May is Dublin. They claim to love their country. Can't say that word on YouTube, unfortunately, but teaching and skill, yeah, that they really do need to well, the Irish people are they've been protesting outside libraries, and they've been holding schools to account, and that will continue. In 1833, Britain abolished slavery, yet supposedly landed a free home of the brave. That is, the US can't give that up. Shameful practice until 1865. That's 32 years, yeah. Yeah, but America, look, again, see, we kind of go down this kind of, we shouldn't, the past is the past. It's not always nice. The Irish and the English people have had a long journey to get to a place where we're probably at ease with each other, but there's still that rivalry, and always will be. I mean, there's no doubt about it. But it's better not to be enemies. It's better to be friends, because there are benefits for both sides. That's why I believe when the Brits left the EU, we should have followed suit and backed them up. They were even willing to bail us out, whether people agree with that or not. But they were, right? They probably would have. They said there was no strings attached to it. I don't know if that's quite true, but they were still willing to do something, right? After all the history between the two countries, we got to a place where we could actually look at each other and communicate. This country has been through a lot. I'm glad that the young kids are out there singing these songs. They should embrace them. And I would say to the kids, yes, educate yourself on our history. It's a long, complicated one, right? But it's fascinating. Irish history, listen, I love Irish history. It's fascinating compared to any other world history out there. There's just so many different levels to our history, and it has defined us as people. And we're not a bunch of whinge bags and moan holes, and Ireland hasn't fallen, because, as I said, right, the thing about it is that the difference between us and Americans, Americans like to talk a lot and say they're going to boycott shit. Yet they did it with Budweiser, one boycott. But the difference is when Irish people say they're going to do something, they actually go and do it. And that's exactly what's happening here. And Ireland won't fall because the Irish people won't allow it to fall, because they realise what will happen if they do allow it to fall, right? And it's inconceivable. Oh, there's a video going around. I'm gonna see if I could show it to you on this little camera here, because I can't screen share when I have the camera on. But it's about an old lady, and she's in a shop, and she's getting some toilet roll. And this bloke comes along and pushes her out of the way because he's on his mobile phone and he's being a rude son of a bitch. So he picks up the toilet roll, and she kicks him, and he falls down, and it's the funniest thing you're gonna see. And I was like, go on, 1-0 to the granny. So here we go. I hope you can see this, right? So we'll just press the play button. So he puts her out of the way. Now watch what she does. Bang! Get down. Get down. Look, he pushes her, picks up the Jack's roll. Bang! Shoulder charge. Win for their granny. Go on. But it just goes to show you, and I've noticed this a lot more. Well, I've noticed this. I've been saying it for years anyway. As you know, on this channel, we've been saying it for years. But the way we treat our old in society is disgusting. And we've seen how disgusting they treated our old during the pandemic. Right? I fear for the day that maybe I'm not capable of looking after myself anymore, and I end up in a nursing home. And these kids today that are speaking are the ones that are coming out against us now, that are going to be looking after us in the future. That scares me to death. And it should scare everybody to death. But there's no respect for people nowadays. It's not just the older generation, that there is no respect anymore. You know, a lot of people out there demand respect, right? And, you know, then they bitch and moan when they don't get respect. But what people should always know and realize is that respect is earned. And maybe that is an old-fashioned belief, but to me, that's one of those beliefs that we should stick to. Respect is earned. You don't just get respect because you demand it. In fairness, though, you know, Alice makes a good point about the Irish musicians. I mean, Bono is one for preaching, and Bob Geldof. I know Bob Geldof lives in England and rather be English than Irish, but he is Irish. Why isn't he speaking up what's going on in this country? Now, I know he did say a few words a few years ago, but that's not good enough. You're Bob Geldof, like, you know, Bono. Where are you people? So yeah, 1-0 to the granny. What else did I say? Oh yeah, I want to bring this up because we see this a lot lately. We see it with celebrities, musicians, whoever it is. We have people. So you do have these celebrities and musicians who decide to finally speak up and call out the whole trans ideology when it comes to kids, you know, saying it's wrong. And then as soon as there's a backlash, they then run like the cowards that they are, backtrack and apologize. Why are people following? Why are people supporting these people? If you backtrack on what you said and you don't stick to your convictions, Well, then I'm sorry. Why would you be supporting a person that doesn't stick to their convictions? I've stuck to that for over 5.5 years, and I've said it, that when it comes to this trans ideology with kids, it's wrong. And I've been labelled, sent death threats, been dragged through the media because of it. Right? Did I ever back down? No, I'm still here today. They even tried to take down this channel several times, as you know, take down my Twitter account, right? Steal me information, report on it, and then when people complained against me, they went and took every link to my channel off, but stole me information. And we know which publication did that. Then I had the other publication, Diva, and then we had obviously Escapist magazine, all of that stuff. Three media outlets. And I never backed down once. And I still don't back down to this day. And I strongly believe now that it's been revealed, when I first said it 5.5 years ago, that they were giving these puberty blockers and all of this stuff to kids. And you know what? I was called transphobic. No, it's not happening. You're transphobic. You're just hating because you're transphobic. And it turns out that that was the case all along. And now they're not hiding it. They're actually doing it in front of us now. But I never back down. And I never will. Because it is wrong. As I said, if you're a grown-ass adult, you can make those decisions for yourself. You go ahead, knock yourself out. I will never fully understand it, right? But again, just because you've decided to change your gender and identify as a woman or a man or whatever, doesn't mean then that society has to bow to every will that you have. That's not how it works. Anyway, as I said, don't have time for anybody that backtracks. So instead of supporting these people, folks, you know, you should be calling them out for not sticking to their convictions. Alice Cooper has. I don't think Alice Cooper has come out to apologize. Carlos Santana was another artist that came out, and he's backtracked now and apologized. And then, of course, that Irish singer Roisin Murphy, and that's who I'm actually talking about. She backtracked as quickly as she fucking came out with the statement. I mean, don't backtrack. You never backtrack, because as soon as you backtrack, they own you. And now they own your ass, and now your career is completely done. You should have stuck to your guns, and people would have supported you. And the record company and all the way they've gone on now and they've banned your albums and all of that. But this could have went a different way, because the public would have backed you. But they're not gonna. I don't think the public should be backing you. Anybody that backtracks, and I know people will say, well, she was bullied into backtracking. It doesn't matter. You stick to your guns. I've been bullied, sent threats, right? And it's been worse than that. I've been sent all sorts of vile images, right? Told to die in multiple ways, and I never backtracked, and I never will. Simple as that. Anyway, let's move on. The National Geographic, as you know, they do have articles, and I always wondered where the world's police came from. So I think I've actually found the answer, because a human-pig hybrid has been created in labs, and scientists hope that the chimera embryos represent key steps towards life-saving lab-grown organs. But I didn't know that they were cloning these into police officers. But there you go. We have found out where all of these traitors come from. They come from a lab. Now, all joking aside, why are we injecting human DNA into pig crap? Like, what's going on here? See, this is why Dolly, the cloning of Dolly the sheep, i.e. was a watershed moment, but on the other hand, it was also, we were also heading down a dark and dangerous territory. Now, some people believe that humans have already been cloned. I'm not going to sit here and say that that might not be a possibility, right? Because nobody thought that they could clone a sheep. Now, I know a sheep is different to a human, right? Because humans are a lot more complex, right? But think about when Dolly the sheep, what year Dolly the sheep was cloned in. And it's been decades since. And the technology and the science would have moved far greater and be a lot more sophisticated than it was back then. This worries me because we're heading down this dark route. Now it's disguised as, oh, but we're going to grow wombs, we're going to grow organs so we could save people. And this is the way these things always start. But then there's always a dark side to these things, folks. Right? So, you know, again, we should be calling shit like this out. They won't use their huge platforms, Alice, because they're afraid they are. They're afraid to lose their revenue, even though most of these are multi-millionaires. That's the problem. Explain Star Trek Discovery, pigs in space. Oh, another thing as well. We were talking about the WEF. So do you all remember this, right? Now, tell me if I'm crazy, because I remember this clearly, and I remember it being reported, or someone within the WEF had said this. But apparently it was never said, right? So do you remember during the pandemic, there was loads of news reports coming out, and there was something from the WEF where they were saying that household pets would probably have to be euthanized because they could spread the virus. Well, this is why we should be concerned about Elon Musk's X, because their community notes have said the World Economic Forum has never called for people to euthanize their pets, let alone create an official policy in this regard. Now, I don't think it was official policy. That part I will agree with. But I remember very well, because I remember reporting on this channel about it. And I remember several other channels reporting on it, because we were talking about it in the UK and they were talking about it in Ireland. We were saying, that ain't happening. So this is what we're dealing with. And remember, Elon Musk's CEO has WEF connections. So can Elon Musk be really trusted? People have to ask those questions. And here's an example of how fucked up this country is right now at the moment. Now, this was reported 5 days ago, so I'm pretty sure the numbers have gone up since then. We're probably into the 10,000 mark now. But 9,720 are waiting for beds in Irish hospitals, in the worst August on record. Now, successive Irish governments, it doesn't matter who they are, have failed the Irish health system. And I'm being honest, you know, I don't think we'll ever fix it, to be quiet, because we got idiots running the government. But that's disgraceful that nearly 10,000 people are waiting to get some sort of treatment or a bed so they can get treatment. It's disgusting. Disgusting, man. And what else have I got for you before I wrap up? Oh yeah, last thing again on this climate change thing. So the Insider paper put out an article which is absolutely ridiculous, because we've all seen the evidence now that most of these fires in Greece may have been intentionally lit. And there is actually footage of people lighting fires. We've seen that. So they said climate change has sharply boosted the risk of fast-spreading wildfires, according to a Californian study published Wednesday that offers lessons for prevention after recent disasters in Greece, Canada, and Hawaii. Someone should actually tell the Insider newspaper that in two of those countries, at least, the third one, which happens to be Hawaii right now, which a lot of information and a lot of conspiracy theory is coming out, which will probably turn out to be true. But if it's true, all of those three countries were deliberately sabotaged to push this climate scam, man-made narrative. You ain't gonna win this, right? And you're burning down trees, you fucking idiots. We need trees. Like, we need trees. Like, and you are cutting them down. Like, do you know what? How we've gone backwards in our education. Like, seriously, we need trees. We were taught that in school as well, how trees, plants, and stuff were very important for us, and we're just chopping them down. I mean, it just makes absolutely no sense. Didn't I read something about Green Party? I don't know in which country it was, but they're even considering cutting down trees. And Bill Gates apparently wants to cut down trees to save the climate. Like, how did we go backwards in our science and our basic education of how things work? No, I agree. Millionaires cannot be trusted. They can't. And that's why I think it's funny, Matt, is that, like, you know, a lot of these fans are blowing smoke up his ass. He's a trillionaire. He's an elite, whether you like it or not. He talks a good talk, but from what I've seen from Elon Musk is that he doesn't follow through. He's all talk, but not really much action, to be quite honest. It's smoke and mirrors with him, and the jury is still out on him whether he can actually do what he says he's going to do. But everything to me points that he's going to fail at this. You know, I don't want to say that the left were right, but they did say that he would destroy this platform, and he may actually still do that, because he does one thing and then contradicts himself by doing something else. And I don't trust anybody that flip-flops like that. And we shouldn't trust anybody who flip-flops like that. But as I said about the musicians, yeah, they just won't speak up because they're afraid to hurt their sales and stuff. They're more worried about their own reputations rather than actually defending their country. So, you know, we've seen Christy Moore. He's a traitor. You know, there's a couple of more of them that haven't come public yet, but I'm thinking the majority of them are traitors. So we can't rely on the musicians in this country. And it looks like we can't rely on certain actors and actresses, Irish actors and actresses either in this country, Alice. So it's absolutely a joke. It's up to the people, and the people that have been doing what they're doing. It's up to them and up to the rest of us to safeguard this country, because they don't give a shit. It's as simple as that. Anyway, I will be back later on, 7 p.m. As you know, we're here with PD Rich and with Queen Charlotte, and we'll be here talking the entertainment industry. Of course, everything is connected, you know, because our entertainment is also used as a propaganda tool to push whatever narrative that the governments want them to push. And of course, you know, we all came together because of this TV show, and, you know, it was happening with our TV show, and it's happening around fandoms as well. where us older fans are being pushed out by these radical left lunatics that just want to ship everybody and give everybody pronouns and all of this sort of rubbish. So we will be talking to PD Rich and Queen Charlotte, and we will be finding out what's on their mind and what they want to get off their chest this week. So come and join us for that at 7 p.m. I will put the stream up in a few minutes' time. So if you just want to get in there or get yourselves notified so you don't miss it, and we will be back then. But thank you for watching, folks. And as usual, we'll be back during the week. Of course, we've got plenty coming up. So stay tuned. And as I said, we will see you later on. Thank you, everybody, for taking part. Don't forget to like, share, leave a comment in the comment section. It helps the algorithm. Remember, oh, by the way, before we leave, you caught YouTube in the act. I caught them in the act. I monetized my stream. I went out of YouTube then to set up my StreamYard, right? To set up the logos and stuff, because I have to change it over when I'm on different channels, right? So I was changing over all the logos, and I decided to go back into YouTube because I just had this funny feeling that YouTube had been pricking around with me. So I went in. They unmonetized me stream as I was going live. So I remonetized that bad boy. But they're literally stopping me from making money there. So they're doing what they did to me a couple of years ago. Just remember that kept happening, and they kept bleeding, limiting me streams and all of that. And then by the time then I'd appeal it, then I'd lose all the views and lose all the revenue for that stream. Well, they're doing the same thing again, folks. So it's important that you like, share, let people know about the channel as well, please. If you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe. But as I said, like and leave a comment. That's the most important. Helps the algorithm. So please do that anyway. So thank you. Talk to you soon. 7 o'clock. Don't forget to look out for the stream. I'll throw it up now in a few minutes, and we'll see you then. Bye-bye.